everybody, welcome back to the Sis Arcade. I'm Scorpio Caesar, and I figured, you know what? Today's Alien Day. Fans of the franchise already know what today is. LV426, April 26th, come on. You gotta do something alien related if you're a fan of the franchise, right? So being that I'm such a big fan of the Xenomorphs, and I have amassed a huge collection of figures based on the franchise, if you would like to see that video, definitely check out my collection update video on my main channel. It'll be popping up on the top right hand corner of your screen. And, well, today for the Sis Arcade, I figured I might as well talk about the Xenomorphs. Everybody's favorite extraterrestrial and my history with alien games. That's right. So this is my history with alien games. Granted, I did not play every single alien game out there. There's still quite a few of them that I did miss, like the arcade ones or whatever came out on the Jaguar and everything like that. But I did play most of them. But that's mainly what I'm going to cover here in this video today. So yeah, this is just my history with the Xenomorphs in video games. My Alien retrospective, because I love this series and franchise so much that I figured, why not do it? I've been meaning to get to a video like this, and I've played so many of them. Now remember, this is my history, so if you find that your favorite game based on the Xenomorph is not represented here or not talked about, it's because I didn't play it. So if you would like to see me cover any of these on the channel in greater detail for like a review or something, do let me know in the comment section below, because I do plan on doing a review on some of these. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. Starting back on the Super Nintendo. Now, my first experience with the Alien franchise in video game form was the Alien vs. Predator game that released for Nintendo's 16-bit masterpiece. As a young kid, having already been subjected to both of their respective movies, my father figured he'd give this one a rent from good old Blockbuster. Needless to say, I remember getting up to the first boss and just not being able to get any further than that. Now that I returned to it on my SNES Classic, I can sort of see why this game was panned by critics. It's just not a very refined beat-em-up when compared to some of the others in the genre. However, it is a game I would love to physically own one day, and I do want to complete it at some point. It's just a shame we never got to see the amazing Alien vs. Predator arcade game come to consoles officially. Now, this is one that I didn't get around to playing until just recently, and I'm kinda beating myself up over it. Having given it a go all these years after its original release date, I'm really liking the feel of the game. No doubt, had my father rented this one instead of Alien vs. Predator, then I definitely would have wanted it for my birthday or for Christmas. Like, come on, you got Ripley in her Alien 3 attire tearing all kinds of Xenomorphs up with this side-scrolling shooter. Why couldn't the movie be like this? She's even got her pulse rifle and flamethrower combo from Aliens again. Holy hell. There's apparently a Genesis version with more stages in it. Now I need to hunt down these games ASAP. Alien Trilogy. Oh man, here we go. Alien Trilogy for the PlayStation 1 and Sega Saturn is a game that I have plans to cover on this channel in further detail for a future review. I have so many fond memories of my father and sister and I renting this one countless times and trying to play through it without a memory card. Eventually we found it at a Hollywood Video and bought it, long box and all. Now unfortunately I don't have the long box for it anymore, but this is probably the very same disc from all those years ago. Alien Trilogy was a first-person shooter developed by Probe Entertainment and published by Acclaim. Trilogy was loosely based on the first 3 films of the series, and man was it scary. Like, I'm not gonna say it gave me nightmares, but it did make me sleep under the covers some nights. If there's one thing an Alien game needs to nail, it's the atmosphere, and Alien Trilogy has it in spades. The level design, the various Xenomorphs, and all their sounds, the music, and oh man, the music. Till this day, I still listen to this soundtrack from this game, and it's just so creepy at times, and fitting for the franchise. The game is not perfect, however. I mean, what game is? The game is definitely showing its age in looks and in the controls department, and the level design can be a bit confusing. Despite that, Alien Trilogy is the one game that I just can't live without. Fans of the series who missed out on this 5th generation hidden gem must check it out. And Night Dive Studios, yeah, Night Dive Studios, I'm talking about you. Can you make a remaster of this one already? Alien Resurrection. Now, having enjoyed the hell out of Alien Trilogy on the PS1, we of course ended up renting Alien Resurrection because we figured it'd be just as good, right? Now, we didn't have access to the internet back then, so we couldn't really do any research, but this one didn't get much in terms of playtimes for whatever reason. We rented it once and never again, only for me to get it a couple years ago. Upon revisiting it, however, I was surprised to see that this game actually uses both analog sticks for movement and camera. And back then, this was one of the first games to use what would be the standard in first-person shooter controls. And as I'm playing through this one right now, I'm impressed by the graphics and sound design. The game loosely takes place around the events of the 4th film, and you play as Ripley and Call on the Auriga, which has been overrun by the once captive Xenomorphs. Yeah, you okay there, buddy? Sure, it's a bit on the janky side, and some of the areas do look a bit recycled, but I appreciate the effort the developers put into this one. My main criticism is the complete lack of an original score. There is no music whatsoever in this game, and considering how amazing the soundtrack was in Alien Trilogy, it's a damn shame. I really need to go back and finish it and cover it in better detail one of these days, but for now, I'm enjoying my time with it. Alien vs. Predator Extinction. Oh man, I remember looking into this one around the time of its release back in 2003, looking at the back of the case and the cover art, and yeah, there was no hype surrounding this one at all, and it's not hard to see why. It's a real-time strategy game, like StarCraft, but on the consoles. Needless to say, when I tried this one out after tracking down a copy, I was pretty disappointed. Sure, I probably need to spend a bit more time with it, and I'm sure there's some enjoyment to be found, but let's be honest here. When you imagine a video game of Alien and Predator, a real-time strategy game is probably the last thing that comes to mind. So anyways, let's move on. Alien vs. Predator Requiem. Now, remember when a movie would come out and there had to be a video game tie-in for it? And in most cases, those games turned out to be pretty mediocre at best. Well, at some point, publishers decided it was a good idea to skip home consoles and let the PSP be their guinea pig for such video games. Alien vs. Predator Requiem just kinda came out, and no one really talks about it. Now, is it bad? Not necessarily. I played a few missions in this one, and it's most certainly not as horrible as one might expect. That being said, you mostly play as the wolf predator in it, so it feels more like a Predator game with aliens in it. Much like the amazing Predator Concrete Jungle that I do plan to cover someday. Someday. Alien vs. Predator 2010. Now this is another underrated one. Alien vs. Predator once again, but what makes this one noteworthy is that you have 3 separate campaigns. One for the Marines, one for the Predators, and one for the Aliens. That's right, you take on the role of Specimen 6, and the campaigns in this game are simply wild. Now, I know this whole 3-campaign AVP thing has been done before, but I never played any of those games in the past. This one, however, was my jam. Everything is in first person, so things can get a little disorientating when you're running up walls and hanging upside down, but hell, I didn't give a damn. I got used to it, and I was having so much fun as the Xenomorph. And when this game came out and the servers were full, I remember Surgeman and X would team up as the Xenomorphs and lay waste to the Predators and the Marines. I only wish that the servers were still active to this day, because this game was an absolute blast. Alien Infestation. Now this one came out on the DS, and unfortunately one of my biggest gaming regrets was selling my copy. Now the game goes for ridiculous prices, and well, I couldn't capture any gameplay for it, so I kinda had to steal this footage. But it was a 2D side-scroller developed by WayForward, and my wish is that they somehow remaster this one because it was great and very reminiscent of Alien 3 on the Super Nintendo. Alien Colonial Marines. Oh boy. The oh so controversial Alien Colonial Marines. Let's just say, I was super hyped for this game despite it being in development hell since originally being announced for the PlayStation 2. And yeah, despite the negative reviews that the game got upon its release, I just had to play it. I was curious to see how the events following Aliens played out, especially since this game was being considered a canonical sequel to it. The game, however, was janky as hell. Like the Xenomorphs just kinda awkwardly walked up to you like they wanted a hug or something, and I never really felt any sense of dread or threat from them. The game unfortunately felt rushed and unpolished, and the amount of screen tearing I would get from the 360 version would make me feel ill. Still, I powered through it because I felt I had to, and all these years later, is it the worst game in the world? No, but one thing was certain after playing this one, I'll never trust that bastard Randy Pitchford or Gearbox Software ever again. Alien Isolation. Thankfully in 2014, Sega and Creative Assembly came together to release the definitive Alien experience in video game form. It's important that we make the distinction of the two types of Alien games there are. There has been many Aliens style games, with Colonial Marines being the most obvious example. And then there's a survival horror style like Alien Isolation. Isolation takes place after the events of the original movie, and it pays homage to it in the best of ways. You take on the role of Amanda Ripley, Ellen Ripley's daughter, who finds herself stranded on the abandoned Sevastopol station, looking for any clues on her mother's whereabouts. Fans of the series already know what this game is all about: survival. You only get so many items and weapons in this game, but at the end of the day, you're doing your best to hide from crazed survivors, rogue androids, and most importantly, an unstoppable Xenomorph that is constantly on the hunt for you. Now, I bought and played through this game twice, both on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, and I'm currently playing through the Switch version, and it's as stress-inducing as my first playthrough. Like seriously, I already suffer from chronic anxiety, and this game just pushes me to my limit sometimes. But the game is just so good, and I keep going because I love it so much. It's just a shame that this Alien game will never be topped in our lifetime. That being said, I'm happy an experience like this does exist. And finally, onto Alien Fireteam Elite, which is a squad-based third-person shooter that once again returns to the Colonial Marine style of games, where it's about you and a couple of teammates keeping your wits about you as you try to survive the Xenomorph hordes. I remember when the game was first announced, and I was cautiously optimistic about it given the developers not having much of a track record, but the game came out and it was fine. You can tell it was a bit of a lower budget, but it's still competent and pretty challenging. I really need to get back into this one myself and find some online teammates because trying to tackle this game with 2 bots on your squad is suicide. Now, there is a good game here, but it's too bad that it came out with very little fanfare and was kind of forgotten about. And well, that's it for my history with the Alien video games. Now I'm curious as to what Alien games did you play growing up? I'm really curious. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any fond memories with any of these games that I talked about today. And if there's any of them that you didn't see on this video today, let me know how they are in the comment section below. And of course, like the video if you enjoyed it, and share the video with some of your friends. Subscribe once again. And I hope this video makes you want to pick up your pulse rifle and get to blasting some Xenomorphs. Anyways, thanks again for watching, everybody, and I'll see you all very soon.